And there are a lot of reasons that I'm passionate about climate change, but I think one of the biggest ones for me is thinking about the future and what's still going to be here for those who come after us. And in my lifetime, as I've grown up, I feel like everyone's started to realize that the effects of climate change are things that we're feeling now. It's not something that we're going to have to deal with in the future. We're feeling the consequences right here and right now. So I live in Houston, and people have started calling Houston the city of storms. The effects are exacerbated by climate change all the time, and that's just become something that's normal for us and we've learned to live with. And I think something that's really important to me is knowing that there's still going to be a world here for my children to experience once I've gone. I want to know that there's going to be a world that those who come after us will still have the opportunity to experience.
That inspires me to care for creation and to constantly look for things that we can change and policies that we can challenge. Fiercely passionate about climate change and environmental action and environmental justice, and constantly challenges me to look beyond the surface and look at structures and systems and policies and how ordinary citizens can do extraordinary things. And doing social justice work to look at the incremental changes that happen. Thank you.
My name is Claire, and climate change is definitely very anxiety-provoking for me. Seeing the impacts of climate change in my day-to-day life through heat, through fires in the region I live in is incredibly frightening. Knowing those impacts are happening around the world is overwhelming. I think what helps me combat that anxiety and stay active and present is reminding myself that I am not alone, and that there are many other young people and Catholics who are active in this work and have the same fears and concerns that I do. And also taking time to just be present in nature, to be alone in silence without my phone, to just be in awe and take in the expansiveness of creation helps me to stay grounded as well.
And the thought of climate change is very scary and overbearing at times, but I do believe that every single voice and every single person can create an influence. But over time, when people see how passionate you are about something, those habits sneak into their lives. And it can be a scary process, and it can be overwhelming the more you learn about climate change. But if I've learned anything, one person can, the cliche, definitely have a ripple effect. And so even when it's overbearing, you can still do something.
I think climate change is a critical issue because it affects all of us, but it most directly impacts the most vulnerable, the people that don't have the resources or the people that don't have the health to be able to withstand things like natural disasters, hurricanes, wildfires. And after reading the book Laudato Si, the encyclical by Pope Francis, I really was able to understand better on a human level how much climate change impacts us as people. And I would love for local parish churches to just explain what the church teaches on climate change, and then to provide us with some actions that we can take on a local, on a personal, and also on a national level.
Throughout my high school career, I have worked alongside peers and family members to combat climate change in my local communities. However, a global church must respond to global issues such as climate change with global solutions. We must present a united front against the increasingly pressing issue of climate change.
Taking on this issue of climate change. It's impacting our brothers and sisters around the world drastically already, and it's very much starting to impact us as well. As I just lived through the heat dome in Seattle in the Northwest and continuing to go forward. So my message to church leaders is we need to take urgent action now. This can no longer be a politicized issue. This is an issue that speaks to the core of our faith.
I grew up between Texas and Mexico City, where I experienced stark differences in air and water quality. I realized early on that pollution has a human cost. Climate change is human cost on a global scale. As Pope John Paul II said, no one can claim, as Cain did, that he is not responsible for his brother. As Catholics, we are called by God to be keepers of our brothers, and therefore keepers of creation. Through climate advocacy, we grow in charity. As the Church, we can profess our faith by mobilizing against climate change.
What I want church leadership to know in the U.S. is that I'm Catholic today because I discovered the Church's long history of creation spirituality. It did so many things for me as a young adult. It unlocked for me my own creative potential. It made me see how beautiful the world is, how God is active everywhere. And it made me realize that I have the power and the responsibility to do something about climate change, that it is within our control to help bring about the kingdom of God.
Climate change is one of the biggest issues facing our church and our world today. And when I think about climate change, I get a little overwhelmed, frankly, and I'm not sure what to do. And so when I heard that there are Care of Creation teams leading us, that gives me joy. And I'm ready to be your hands and try to be the hands of God to try to help God's creation. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
To those who are doing the work of creation care and you're feeling discouraged, maybe even rejected, something that someone told me once is that you have to go out and you have to go find your people. Every time you encounter someone who gets fired up about this work, it's new energy, it's new relationships to keep you going. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in their midst. And so it's a whole new encounter with God. And so go out there, find your people. We're waiting for you.